Welcome back to the Unbiased Opinion, where everyone's opinion is biased except ours. I'm Craig, but am I an AI or not?
And I'm Daniel.
So for this week, we'll be doing a movie which Colin suggested, so of course he's not going to show up for it, called The Creator, which came out, I think, 6 months ago. I know it said last year, but I think it was 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty bland movie. I don't think it did well financially or critically. Let's double check. Yeah, kind of as a box office bomb. I think critically it wasn't much better, mid. Although Colin tried to say to me that it was nominated for so many awards, but they're all for special effects, so that really doesn't mean much.
Yeah, that was the only thing I saw for it.
Yeah, so I did not really care for it. I'm assuming you thought the same.
Yeah. After watching it, I kind of was like scratching my head, like, I don't know how to feel about this. Like, it's one of those just like, I've like, I don't care about it. It's just bland.
Yeah,
Like,
because that's what I was thinking too while watching it. It felt like a bunch of ideas from other better movies tackling AI and wars against AI and machines. Because the first thing you think of, at least for me, it was Terminator. The war against the machines.
yeah.
But that's just a straight action movie. It's not really a because this is trying to be, I guess, maybe a little more thoughtful, but I don't think it does a good job with that either.
Yeah. I got, not in terms of tone, like, not in terms of ideas, but definitely, well, somewhat. The bigger movie I got that this drew from was Blade Runner.
See, I've never seen that, but that's what I also was thinking about. I know the gist of it, where it's like, are you human or not? Because you can't tell the difference all that much
Yes. Yeah. And because this past year I saw the sequel, the remake
with
with
their
Ryan
boy.
Gosling.
Yes.
Yeah. And Harrison Ford was in it. Um so not only just idea wise, but also kind of, I guess, stylistically and almost tone a bit. Yeah, definitely tone. Like, I definitely drew, like, and visually as well, like how it was kind of darker and like, um, I definitely got Blade Runner. Was it 2042 vibes from it?
Yeah, but see, this is where I think it already fails as a movie because they're trying to show you that, like, oh, what's the difference between these robots and AI? They look like us, they act like us, so they're just like us, right? But I don't think they do a good job of that. Because in some sense they do. Obviously, what's his name? Ken Watanabe. He's
Yes, he was
basically
in
just like a human, but then they try to show shots of other like robots and humans. Kind of, they people don't see the difference between them. But for one, there's a clear visual difference, and I just don't think they do a good job of like what is human or not. They just say these guys look like people, but they don't really dive deeper. You know what I mean?
Well, and the thing too is, like, if you're gonna like take from the, like, Blade Runner, right? Um, because if I'm not mistaken, in the first Blade Runner, they leave, you're not sure if Harrison Ford's character is an AI or not. So it's kind of, they play on it, like, you're not sure if he is or he isn't, kind of a deal. I could be wrong, but I think that's like how it kind of played into it. Like, you weren't sure, but so it kind of, from his point of view, you're like, there's kind of that ambiguity to this. Like, where this, like, I think the,
There's no ambiguity. I mean, if they're a
yeah,
robot.
yeah. And also too, I think the what this movie suffers from the most is that the whole point of this movie, um, I guess, just to give like a brief plot synopsis. So it takes place like in an alternate future, right? In like 20, the first part takes place in like 2050, something like that, where humans have hyper developed AI, like, where they can do everything. They're police force, housemaids, yada yada, yada. Like, they can do everything. And then at one point they set off a warhead in Los Angeles. They don't explain why in the beginning part. So then America bans AI, and then they're going into New Asia, which is like a new territory now. which is essentially I think they filmed it all in like Thailand, but now like the U.S. is trying to wipe out all AI and stuff. So, and then there's this guy who had a wife. She died in one of the things, and then he's trying to. Um, but then there's Craig. You're better at giving the synopsis than I am.
Well, we'll go to the beginning where he had this wife, and the reason why she dies is because he's actually undercover for the U.S. forces or whatever, and she tried to escape from him to escape the U.S. forces and gets killed from some aerial strike by this giant space station that the West build that hovers over
Yeah,
like basically Asia to bomb them whenever they want. But
yeah,
I really have a problem at the beginning because immediately he blows his cover. He's like in the walkie-talkie yelling, "Hello, I'm the undercover guy. Please stop the bombing. What are you doing?"
uh, yeah, yeah. That was just like I was like, oh no, like I was like, oh god, like. Yeah, she comes in. She literally goes up the stairs and like it's like in this tiny hut. It's not even in this mansion. It's in this little hut. Like she could, like you could hear him.
Like you couldn't
Like
think
I
he could like
think,
maybe go outside and like maybe go like 20 feet away and try like whisper like maybe talk, but don't be like yelling, "Hello, I'm the undercover guy. You're blowing my cover. You're blowing my
yeah,
cover."
yeah, I think there'd be like code names, you know, a secret language, to keep up his disguise. But no, it's just I'm guys, it's me, undercover, yada yada yada. Like,
You're blowing my cover.
yeah,
So that immediately like turned me off. To at least the beginning part of it.
yeah,
I also want to cover too, because this is like a big part of the movie. The main character, he was undercover, but he fell in love with the woman he was supposed to, I guess, seduce, which is always a big no-no. But they keep showing the same shot of her throughout the movie, which looks like their wedding day. And he's like holding her on the beach and like spinning her
yeah,
around to kind of establish their relationship. And I was wondering, like, watching the movie because I was bored, of course. And I was like, do they have any other shots of her? Like, they only see he has one memory of her. I don't understand. Like, do you have any other memories of her? Like, doing anything else? Like, I think they had like
yeah,
brief clips of like when they first met, but like, they keep going back to that one shot of him spinning her around on their wedding day, which I'm assuming it's their wedding day because they never said it explicitly.
yeah. And I don't think you're just gonna be wearing a dress like that casually at like a beach in Thailand.
Or just, because that's like I think a big part of the movie too. I know it's a sci-fi movie, but the characters felt very flat, and I don't
Well,
really
that
care that he lost his wife.
that was see. Well, that was my biggest gripe with this movie, is that they're trying to get you to be sympathetic and the idea of what it means to be human, right? And the AIs, like up until this point, you don't know what caused the warhead to go off. Like they're being viciously hunted and bombed from the satellite station, and but the thing and the whole movie is trying to get you to like empathize or sympathize for for the AI. But the thing is that this movie doesn't build any connection to any of the characters. That was my biggest thing. Is like because I got to the end of this movie and I remember just and I was just like, why do I care? Like no, I mean I like this whole movie is about a war between the humans and the AI, and like I found myself at the end of this movie like if the humans win, I don't care, and if the AI wins, I don't care. Like there was no this movie doesn't take time to develop any serious connection between the main characters and the audience, especially when the main character Joshua was it Wells or something like that. Um, his whole thing is and this kind of fails. See, the movie should have built it on this premise. Like, it's fine that he falls in love with a human, or no, it's fine that he falls in love with someone. But I think it would have served the plot in the movie so much better if she was a robot, she was AI, because again, they're trying to make you feel bad that the AI is being mercilessly hunted, and like they don't really establish like or take time to establish that there are these group of humans that sympathize with the AI. Like it's just like, oh, a nuke goes off, and then now we're in this new territory like 5 to 10 years later, and these people are helping the AI for no real reason. Like it's just oh they're helping them and they want them to exist and coexist with them. But then the guy, his whole motivation is to get back his lost is to he the military law says that his wife is alive, but the thing is that she's a human. So if your whole point of the movie is to get the audience to try to sympathize with the AI and like, oh, they're they have as much as a right as the humans, yada yada yada, whatever. But it kind of fails when the main guy's motivation is just to get back his human wife who was
Yeah,
pregnant with his child.
yeah, he had no concern for the AI. He just wanted his wife back. Because I don't care if they live or die. I just want her back.
Yeah, so I think immediately you kind of not you kind of trick the audience in a way. Like you or it fails. Like if you want people to sympathize with the AI, then either have your main character be an AI or not sure if he's an AI, or have his wife who gets bombed be an AI. Like and then it's
And I
like
know people would say, "Oh, the child is an AI, and he bonds with that." Sort of, but the real bonding begins, or I think really takes off, when he realizes that it's basically his unborn child, which is kind of
yeah,
cheating. Because again,
yeah.
like you're saying, it should be some sort of more natural relationship, not being told, "Oh, by the way, this child's your unborn child." Basically, it's like, oh well, it's kind of cheating.
Yeah. Yeah, or like maybe or maybe you could have it in the beginning, like he doesn't necessarily care about like the whole war between AI, but his wife's an AI, he's still kind of reluctant, but then she gets bombed, so now he has motivation to help fight against the humans. But like, I'm just like sitting through this movie, and it's like the only other like, but then again, it's kind of like when he accepts the mission to go try to help the U.S. Army, like he's on the plane and the commanding officer she tells him that one of her sons, was set up and killed by AI. So I'm like, what is this movie trying to draw you in at? Like, are you trying to take a neutral stance? Are you trying to like sympathize with one side, or I was just kind of like, what is the point?
Well, I think again, I think the AI they're trying to say, oh, they're just peaceful. 'Cause I think part of that too was they're trying to do a very bad allegory at the U.S.'s, wars in the Middle East and Vietnam. I mean, literally, they're fighting near Vietnam. But I think part like they're trying to say, oh, we just want to peacefully coexist. We're not doing any harm. I disagree with that for one. I don't really buy that they didn't set off the nuclear bomb in LA. I think they said word for word it was human coding error. And again, this is why people who don't know about programming shouldn't write about it, because I don't understand how a simple programming error could let off a bomb, like a nuclear bomb. There's so many safeguards, so many things that would stop that from happening. That just one simple, oh, someone just, went to a different go to 10 line as opposed to go to 12 line. Oh, no, sorry, nuke went off. Like this, it's a pretty big mistake to make. Like it's not something that's easy to trigger. So I don't really
Yeah,
believe the AI when they say that. And also, AI wish for peaceful coexistence. I believe that's mainly because they are at a disadvantage. They clearly can harbor negative human emotions like hate and anger. Why would that lead me to believe that all they wish for is peaceful coexistence? They're going to have negative human emotions. That's going to lead to probably wanting to wipe out humanity at some point.
yeah. I think it would have been better had the AI been more distinct from humans. Like there would have been a bigger contrast between them because I think at one point, like in the third act or in the middle part of the movie, when they're in the big base in like Thailand, and they have the kid. Joshua got imprisoned, and the AI they took Alfie, which is the kid's name, which I don't know if you thought this correct. I thought that was a boy at first. I didn't realize that
Yeah,
was a girl until they started saying she, and I was like, wait, that's a girl?
I thought the same thing too.
But anyway, and then at one point, like when the U.S. launches that big assault on the base, when he's like imprisoned there and stuff, and then he gets Alfie and they're trying to escape, and then the U.S. attacks. Um, also, uh, oh, actually, I'll get to that point after. But um, they show like all the AI generals and soldiers. Like the one is like in his hut smoking a cigarette,
Yeah.
and and he
His
doesn't even have a
his
human
one's watching
face.
porn.
Yeah, and no, the one that's smoking a cig didn't even have like a human face. It was just like that one, like that looked almost like an insect. Like he's just
Yeah.
smoking a cig, and then some of them are playing poker. I'm like, is this their way of trying to humanize them? I'm like, but why would AI do that? Like,
Well, yeah, it's how they're trying to humanize them. Because I remember when they got to that monastery or whatever, they showed like I guess a grandma AI holding like the child's hand, and it was like a human child. It's like I don't really buy that.
it
Maybe
was
because
a
I'm a human supremacist, but
this movie could have done a much better job trying to portray. I think it would have served the movie a much better job of not just like either taking its time to show the progression of AI with humanity, or I think it would have served better if the AI were just more distinct, like an AI trying to learn like about humanity, like they kind of bond over their differences, like an AI like why do you smoke cigarettes, or like someone teaching an AI how to play poker, like you know that would like kind of I think have served better than like just AI, like just these poor montage attempts of like, oh, they smoke cigarettes too, or they play poker, watching porn. It's like, but why? AI can't do that. Like, there's no,
well, I
I don't
also thought
know.
it was weird too when they get to that monastery where uh, his wife is. There's like AI dressed up as monks. I mean, for I can't say I don't know the details about their religion, but like they know who their creator is. It's us, the humans.
Yeah,
I don't know
it was
why they'd be
specifically
worshiping whatever they're
it was,
worshiping.
it was specifically her father, and then she took over the title of Nirmata.
Yeah, which I don't know what that means. That doesn't matter. Probably something not that clever.
And yeah, I mean they say Nirmata, like they show it in the beginning of the like the before the title screen, like Nirmata like means creator or maker or something like that. So her, but the thing is like that was another thing that I was like, wait, I was a little confused on, because AI was already developed before, years ago. Like AI had been getting developed all these years to the point of what it is at the present point in this movie. So was so I don't know why like the dad and then her, they're called Nirmatas of creators. They were just advancing AI to defend themselves essentially and to
Well,
fight back. So,
I guess you could say they did sort of create that child Alfie, which an AI that can it's basically a human because it can grow and stuff. But again,
yeah.
they talk about like peaceful coexistence, and they create this child weapon that can wipe out like it's basically walking EMP pulse. And again, I'm not sure they really want peaceful coexistence.
Also, explain this to me, Craig, because the movie never touches on this. And how is the US able to freely go into Asian territories, Asian countries, and drop bombs?
Well, see,
Because
this is where I feel like it hits that Vietnam, Middle East war commentary because we basically do that now. Like anywhere in the Middle East, we just drop bombs wherever we want. Really, no repercussions.
but the thing is like in Vietnam, like but with Vietnam there was a divide in the country. One side was affiliated with this side politically, another side. So we had a kind of a venue to get in. Now, if you want to question why we were there, that's a different story. But in terms of accessibility in the U.S. to actually get there and be a part of this war, that's different because they had correct me if I'm wrong, like weren't they were backing up a side, so they
Yeah,
had ways to get in. So, but this is like they don't establish that there's like government agreements for the U.S. The U.S. The U.S. just has this walking satellite that at any point they could bomb a major human city. Like, so I was just like I was just like they don't touch on that at all. I was like, are the is like are all the governments okay with this? Like, because clearly there's a big contrast because because Asia, like all the Asian countries, were still developing AI. So they would have almost it seemed like it would have been more interesting if like the countries were fighting the US, be like, no, like F off. Like you guys discontinued it, but we didn't. And I think that's another problem too, is that this movie would have been much better. I think another thing too that is like, see, to me that like it almost like kind of took me out of it. It's like, well, if the US discontinued and got rid of AI out of their own country, it's no longer their problem, right? Like, wouldn't that be something like that's the other country's problems? Like, because the U.S. discontinued it, they got rid of them, but the AI aren't in the U.S. anymore. So I
But again,
think
this
the
this
movie,
is their poorly this is their poor
yeah,
commentary, like the wars in the Middle East. They have, weapons of mass destruction. You have the AI of mass destruction. We got to go in and destroy it, blah blah blah.
yeah, I think the movie should have still had it like a battleground in the U.S. Like the AI, you know, if anything, you should have had like I think the AI should have maybe, conquered, you could have had the AI like conquered a few states and they're fighting. Like they're fighting back and the US is in the process of trying to flush them out and destroy them in their own country. I think that would have been better, especially then you have like fights in like major US cities and stuff and you know but the fact that like the U.S. already cleared them out of their own country, then they're going across the world to just bomb Asian countries with no repercussions was just like, wait, what?
Again, this is very just poor commentary because it's very different to say terrorists who maybe threaten our way of life versus AI, which is an existential threat to our existence, which have already nuked us. I mean, say all you want, the Twin Towers is no just nuking Los Angeles. And again, it's not a very I think of like the X-Men where they say, "Oh, X-Men, we're an allegory for minorities because people look at us differently and treat us differently, and oh, woe is us." It's like you guys can shoot lasers out of your eyes and do all sorts of supernatural things. People with different skin colors, not exactly the same kind of comparison. So, like with
Yeah,
this, like, oh, terrorists, the Twin Towers, they got weapons of mass destruction. It's like, well, it's not the same thing as AI trying to wipe us out and be the dominant life form on the planet. Very, very different thing. I'm a pro humanity guy. I'm not gonna sympathize with the AI.
well, I guess anyone who played Fallout 4 and picked the synths, Craig, might have a problem with your position on this.
No, total synth death. Which is kind of funny when we watch this because have you ever seen the movie Starship Troopers?
A long time ago, but yeah, I know the
Trying to wipe out
premise.
the bugs.
Yeah,
Well, there was like this Twitter discussion which I caught wind of. I don't have Twitter, but I happened to see people talking about it where they were sympathizing with the bugs as opposed to the humans, which I find to be a very odd position. You can say maybe the humans aren't being nice to the bugs, maybe being overly aggressive, blah blah blah. But why would you ever side with the aliens over your own kind? That I don't understand. And people were saying, the bug should have wiped out the humans. I'm pro bug. I'm team bug. Just very odd position to have. And I think of this movie where people are, I'm pro AI. I think AI should wipe out the humans. I'm on the side of the AI. I think it's very odd. I think of Avatar 2, siding with the aliens over your own kind. Very weird thing to do. I'm
yeah,
pro-human. I'm always going to side with my kind over some alien or AI.
yeah.
Which I know you could say that's my personal view on things, but I just with these kinds of movies to try to make you sympathize with non-humans, I don't really sympathize well with non-humans when it comes to us versus them.
Yeah. Well, and the thing too on the trying to sympathize with, and humanize the AI, like
They nuked
the
us.
well that too, but also like it's not the same, right? Like for example, like in the movie, remember that when the woman and her officer under her, they get captured by the AI, and they're in the back of that police van, and then they take it over. Remember how they killed the one AI looking dude? And then two scenes later, when the police find where the kid is hiding in that apartment in the city, that dude's back. Like,
Yeah.
so the thing is like it's hard for you to feel bad when they can just replicate themselves.
I mean, they're
Like,
they're very
dude, literally,
disposable.
yeah, that dude literally got killed, and then they put his face on another one, and they sent him back in. Like, so it's hard to like sympathize because if they made that kid once, right? Like, like the whole thing, like the kid's supposed to be the savior for the AI. Like if they made him once, I'm sure they can make him again. Like you know what I mean? Like if the kid
AI
died,
Jesus.
it's yeah, it's just like so. This movie suffers from a poor attempt to try to get you to care. Honestly, about both sides. Like I didn't. I just was like I don't really care. Like it's just one of those things of like, and then like the guy Joshua and Alfie, like like you said, they don't. He doesn't really have a connection to the kid. He's only using the kid the whole movie up until the end when he finds out that the kid was a replica of the embryo in his wife when she was pregnant. Like, so it's not even really his kid still. Um,
He's the
like
dad
he,
that stepped up.
yeah, he does not care about the war, nor does he at any point actually turn to sympathize with the AI. Like his only then he just wants to essentially save the kid because like oh you were the what my child was supposed to be. Like so he doesn't even care about the war. I feel like at the end, it's just like we'll just I don't know. It was just like forced. Like the relationship like between him and the kid, there wasn't really a relationship. It was just like he was using the kid to try to find his wife. And then at the end, they kind of like try to force it, like
You're
you
my
know,
son.
yeah. And like, I mean, I guess he cares at the end when he helps take down Nomad.
Which I wanted to say too. I don't. Well, the movie looked good. They seem to be very inconsistent as to where Nomad was physically in the movie. Because in the shots when they're on the ground, it looks like it's like in the sky, not too far up. But then they show it in space, miles above where it should be. So it's like I don't think they just understand how where things take place.
Yeah,
Because it was like up in it didn't seem like it was that big. So if it was like a satellite, you can't see a satellite
yeah.
typically from.
It looked more like it was like a space. It looked more like it was a um like in terms of like where it would be. It looked like it'd be like more like a chopper or like a what the hell are they called? Like the cargo planes, like the military. Like it would be in that elevation. Like it's close enough to the battleground, but not. But yeah, like you said at the end, that's like the space station. I'm like, wait, what?
Well, they showed it, I think, in the beginning too, where again it was in space like a satellite, but then they show it on Earth, basically, like you said, maybe I don't know, a mile above the ground or whatever. Like not
Yeah,
that high up where it's a very they kept changing, I guess, the where it was physically, and I thought that was distracting.
I think with this movie too, I don't want to say it should have been longer, but I think the movie really should have taken more time to develop things. Because looking back at this movie, I think it's like it was like nothing really kind of expands upon itself, or nothing takes time to um kind of get you connected. It's like this happens, then this happens, and this happens, and this happens, and then like you're supposed to feel like something at the end, like oh, they try to like tie it all up quickly, like oh he dies with the AI version of his wife, and the the AI are free, and like it's just like I don't. There's just like no it was just like it just felt like everything was like all right, this happens and this happens and this it's like nothing takes time to like get you connected, I feel like. So I don't know if this movie should have been longer, maybe for the sake of trying to get you connected to the characters and the issue at hand, but it just doesn't, like, just watching it I'm like I'm not invested in this.
So I thought I saw something where apparently a lot was trimmed from it. I don't
Hmm.
remember where I saw that, and can't say I really care to double check it, but you're probably right, and like a decent chunk of stuff was cut. But I just remember this too while you were talking. That one guy he met at the factory, uh, I don't remember his name, but he had the AI girlfriend. And
I think his name was Derek. It was his friend who like got who sent him to go. seduce Maya.
Yeah, and what was it? Yeah, because his girlfriend dies from the cops killing her, and he was like seen crying, like, "Oh man, I cried over her, like I would have cried over my wife." And it's like the relationship seemed a little sketchy. I'm not sure she was just your wife. I think she was a little skeevier. So again, I don't not really a good job of like trying to make you sympathize. Oh, they're just like us.
Well, and also too, it's like again, the cop that like burst in to kill her, like they replicated him. Like I'm sure, like if the guy was able to survive everything, he could just go back into the factory and redesign his girlfriend. She already was an AI. You're not missing out on anything.
And again, it wasn't. She didn't seem like an AI. She seemed like what the words call like part of his concubine or whatever.
His mistress, his side.
Well, yeah,
But
because it didn't give me like it didn't because they didn't present themselves as like a couple or like a married couple. It definitely seemed
yeah,
skeevier.
because like, and now I was thinking of it was I was wrong. It was Blade Runner 2049. I was 7 years off, but like so in that movie, like did you ever see that one?
No, I haven't seen either.
I'm
But
sure you've seen the memes of Ryan Gosling just like staring there blood with it like a
he's
bloody
what he
face, just
does.
like yeah, just like but so in that movie, right, he's this like agent, he's one of like the last of those like synths and he's like hunting down other ones. So at the end of the day, he goes home and he has this like virtual program, which is the Ana de Armas, that actress. So he has this virtual girlfriend essentially, but she's a holographic program. And at the end, one of the things he does for her is he like takes her out of like the computer program where she can actually walk around and stuff. Not saying I cared, but the movie, like you can try to like sympathize with her, like the fact that she gets this new form and can walk around and touch and all this stuff and like can actually like be with him, like it actually kind of it's a way like you can actually sympathize with her in a way. Not saying like I cared for it, but I think that's a better attempt at trying to like sympathize with an AI than they already are humans and then they just get replicated.
Yeah.
Like and also too, like for him, for Ryan Gosling in that movie, like he's alone. So like she is like his only form of like intimacy and interaction and connection and stuff like that. So it actually, you kind of feel bad where this it's like the main character like they don't take the time to like this movie would have been better had they like taken more time to develop his relationship with his wife because it's like she shows up and then gets bombed and she pulled a gun on him and left him. Like,
Well, I think that's like a big thing with these with this movie. It just anything AI related or I guess sci-fi related, other movies have done better.
yeah, yeah. Just have like just have the humans carry it. You don't have them carry the emotion. Like, honestly, this movie would have served better if it was a bigger ripoff of Terminator, where the AI just want to the AI assimilate and subvert, and then eventually they gain enough of humanity's trust, and then they try to conquer them. Like, I think it's generic, but I think it probably would have been better than what this movie attempted at. And again, like I'm not saying this is a bad movie. I think both of us can agree it's not a terrible movie. It's not bad. It's just kind of like you think
It's
back, like
very bland. I always just think
yeah,
of something else.
and it's not one of those bland movies you could throw on and be like, oh, I can get invested into this. It's like it's one of those bland movies like oh, I'm doing something and then I kind of want to go to sleep, like so that can just stay on the whole time. Because I did fall asleep during this movie.
Oh yeah, falls asleep in a movie.
Well, it's just I fall asleep during boring movies,
No,
especially like because
yeah, I
this
get it.
because these ones because also these ones too like for some reason these movies that Colin picks I don't know if he's like has something against lighting in movies, but a lot of these movies are like darker. So I'm like already dark and I'm bored, so it's easy for me to doze off. It was like when I saw the Last Jedi. Like it was dark and boring. I'm like, well, I'm comfortable, so
Was it
I'll
The
do some
Last Jedi
productive.
or was it the ninth one, the Rise of I forget the name already.
I think I fell asleep during both.
Even
Because
better.
they're dark, long, and boring. I don't know, like at least like, and I guess the only thing I can say positive is visually it's good. Like for a movie that's going to heavily focused on visual effects, it does a good job, especially with the robots
Well,
and
yeah,
stuff like
it
that.
was also nominated for those awards.
Yeah, there was no like jarring shots of like, oh God, that looks horrible. Like everything like worked, and I think I guess one compliment for the director of this and like the people who did the CGI is they did a good job of like putting clothes. I think it serviced them well for the CGI. That the CGI is mainly just the head, like that they put clothes on all of them, so they're just like people, and then there's just the back of their head, like is the metal part. I
I
think
see. I just thought it was so weird. Like, why was only like the back of the head missing?
I did question that. I was like, you would think like they would to. It really was just to. It was just like probably a very easy way to distinguish them from the humans, even though I think it would have serviced the movie much better had they been less distinguishable. If this was what they're trying to go for,
Well,
it's either like
I also
it's either
think
make
too,
them
like Star
completely
Trek.
different or not.
Like in
Yeah.
Star Trek, they would just like put stuff in people's forehead, whatever, like something generic to easier to understand, as opposed to, or do the effort to like remove someone's like skull or the back of their head.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just I look at this movie and I'm like, what what was the point of this movie? Because like if you're trying to make an allegory on Vietnam, a poor attempt at it, it's like, you're what, 70 years too late. That that drum has been beat and beat to death. Um
What was with the war on terror? Same thing. I mean,
yeah, I
beat to
mean,
death.
what that the war on terrorism, yeah, it's been what, going on for 40, 30 years, you know. There isn't even like a current issue like and also too it's like the AI commentary or satire or allegory, whatever you want to call it, like that's kind of been done already. So I look at this movie, I'm like, what is the point behind it? Because it's not even, you can't even say it's like, oh, like there isn't really, it's not, it's not really focused on commentary, but it's still like a visually, it's an entertaining movie. It's just an entertaining movie. Like there's just there's just nothing that stands out about this movie that I'm like, oh, that was they made a good point about this, or oh, you know what, they didn't, there was no really point to it, but it was just a fun, entertaining movie. There was just like nothing, like humans, unless you're making a commentary of humans trying to, which again already that's been beat to death. Humans make something, try to be God, and it backfires on them.
I prefer that story with dinosaurs.
Yeah, or Frankenstein.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's just like, what is the point of this movie? And what
Yeah.
is the point of Colin wanting us to watch this movie? Is the greater question.
Well, hopefully he'll answer us, but because I don't think because did you ever see the movie like Ex Machina?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it though.
Yeah, where basically they're trying to see like when does an AI really become human? And the
Yeah.
whole gist for this guy's locked in a room with he knows she's an AI, but eventually she uses like her charm and like tries to outwit him to eventually be able to like kill her captor and escape. I'm probably not giving the best description, but point is, it's more about like when does just a robot like when does it become from a robot to an AI, like an actual fully functioning AI as opposed to just you know or a robot that just does what you told. Which again, I think it just again better movies that tackle AI stuff. Terminator, if you want
Yeah,
to go for the straight action, that's got more action. Granted, it doesn't take place in the future, but still.
yeah. This also gave me this. The other movie I thought of. I saw it one time a while ago, and I never saw it again because I just was like, "What was the point of this movie?" Um, District 9. Did you ever see that movie?
I had to turn it off after like 10 minutes because the allegory was so strong. I don't think I could sit through it.
Yeah,
I mean, it was so
like
obvious about immigrants. Like, okay, it was too painful to sit through.
literal aliens. But yeah, it just I don't. But at least that was a straight up allegory. At least there was kind of a point to that. You could be like, even if you don't like it, you could be like, all right, I get the point of it. This, I'm just like, what? Like, why?
Well, like I said,
Just,
it's pulling from better movies and can't really make anything of it. It's just it's a poor imitation.
yeah,
Which I mean, it's not the
yeah,
worst thing, but it just I can't say I'm ever gonna even think about rewatching this ever again.
yeah. No. Was there anything about this movie, Craig, that you did like?
It looked nice, I guess. I mean, that's why it's nominated for special effects awards. Like
I don't
we
know.
we think of like the Marvel movies, how they always look terrible now. This didn't look
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah. I, yeah. Which it's a weird thing to say in a CGI when CGI and visual effects has just dominated for the past 20 really the 15 years, right? Like it's weird to say that like that's the best thing about this movie is visual effects when it's like almost expected in movies. It's like
Well, especially when it
we
has like the smaller budget too.
yeah, yeah,
Granted, I mean, it's still a big budget, but it wasn't like Marvel movie budget.
yeah, yeah. They didn't film everything behind a green screen. I'll give them that. They
There
actually
was
filmed on location.
there was one thing which always kind of bothers me in these movies where basically there was was it called New Asia, where a lot of the those Asian countries united. Most of them don't like each other. There's a lot of like political strife, so all of them just unite and be like, yeah, we're all one big happy melting pot area. I'm like, that's not really how it works, and I hate when people do that in movies.
Well, it's funny that the movie did that, but never specified where in New Asia they ever were.
I mean, I just
Just
assumed Vietnam because it got to complete the allegory.
yeah, yeah. I like. Here's another thing that was kind of you know I wondered why they didn't do this because in these movies, like these futuristic movies, a lot of them take place in the cities to show off the the technological futuristic setting that this is supposed to take place in. But this movie really doesn't, and they spend like half the movie on a beach. Like
Yeah.
they don't utilize like not saying it would have saved the movie, but it helps engross the audience. Like right, like Blade Runner, and I think of uh, Total Recall. You know, like how Total Recall, like it takes a lot of it place in this, the city, these sets, like it's futuristic. It's supposed to like, engross you into it. Like, it's, kind of techno and um Terminator didn't, the only thing was just the robot and, but nothing different really. But
Also, it was
like,
done a lot earlier too, where the special effects were better.
yeah. But like these futuristic kind of movies or these, technological movies, like they're like one of, I guess, a trope, common thing in them. And I've cut. You kind of expect it, but I think it serves them well. Is that they engross you in the futuristic tone of it, like the cities and stuff like that. And this doesn't really do that. It just takes place mostly on a beach.
Beach or like the
Like,
jungle. I mean, I know there were some
yeah,
stuff in the city, but it's nothing great.
yeah, no, yeah, like, yeah. So I think that's that kind of lessens it, and um, also another thing. I don't know if you noticed this, but it threw me off just a bit. And at one point, a few times, I was asking like, what is this? The music for this. Like, I don't know if they're trying to go for this like edgy, like usually like for these kinds of movies, they do like techno music, kind of like a more of like house music, like ominous. There's like an ominous beat and stuff. But this, they were throwing in like kind of weird, almost like hip hop techno songs that just didn't fit this, like just didn't fit scenes at all. Like it just kind of, I remember like a few, like two or three times, I was like, what is this song? Like this doesn't fit this at all. So I don't know if that was their attempt to kind of go retro with it, but it just didn't work. I was just like, and usually like the music for these, like I can kind of tune them out because like I said, it's like that ominous like doom doom, like it's that beat and but with this, it's almost like a bass to it. But like for this, it was like these like techno pop songs, techno hip hop songs, and I just didn't. It just kind of took me out a bit. I don't know if you noticed that, but
Honestly, I don't remember, but at the same time, I was not giving this my full attention, especially like not that long into the movie.
yeah. But any other thoughts on this movie?
Not really. It's just again, I not it's again mid movie. I think of better movies and that it's touched upon that I'll never really think of this or it's not really worth talking about in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, my final thoughts is just it's bland. It's not the worst thing. It's not a bad movie. It's not good. It's mid. I might give it a 5 out of 10, maybe. Maybe like a 4 out of 10 because I was bored. Maybe a 5 because I was able to sleep. So um, but yeah, it's just bland and just like what is the point of this kind of a deal. So I wouldn't recommend it, but I also wouldn't recommend against it. I would just,
I kind of
eh,
would just because there's better things out there.
yeah, like go see Madam Web, Morbius, or the upcoming train wrecks that Sony's trying to shove down your throat without Spider-Man.
Also, I'm pro humanity. I'm not siding with the AI. I'm not siding with the bugs. I'm not siding with the blue people who live in trees. I'm pro humanity.
I don't know, Craig. Our two followers might have sided with the Sins. We might lose some people on this.
'Cause I know they'll always say, "Oh, you're missing the point." It's like I'm not missing the point. I can see through what they're trying to do. I'm not going to side with people trying to destroy me. Not going to happen.
Craig, we're all human. Okay.
But that's the problem, though. These people aren't human. They launched the nuke in LA. Like, why would I want to side with them? And I know, you're missing the point. It's like, I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Yeah. If they launch the nuke in LA, Craig, that's no more Rams
Oh, and
and
Chargers.
Lakers. Did anyone miss the Chargers? Somehow the Chargers are the only team standing in LA. They still miss out on the playoffs.
They still have no fans showing up.
Not even the AI were programmed go. Yeah. But, yeah. That's all I got to say on that
Pro
movie.
humanity. Well, that's been the unbiased opinion. Where everyone's opinion is biased, except ours. I'm Craig, human supremacist.
And I'm Daniel.
All right.